Rise and join me to pledge to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Present.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Capura?
Present.
Mr. Bungie?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Ms. Abernathy? Present. And Ms. Cheryl Hyduk is present.
Okay. First order of business is the minutes as presented from last month's meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion made by John, seconded by Eric. Any questions?
No.
I guess roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capura?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. First item of business, new business, is Barkowitz. Is that close? Barkowitz? Barslett.
Yep, that's it.
In the vicinity of 12927 Webster Street. This developmental variance has allowed the petitioner to construct a new residential home with a 15-foot setback on a corner lot. Mr. Austin?
The legals are in order for the public hearing.
You want to step up and give us an idea what you'd like to do? Sure. Please.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a home that is, we're on a corner lot, and really the 15 feet from the edge of the property, it actually backs up to Webster Street. Webster Street is an abandoned street. There's really nothing on it. I actually cleaned the leaves on that street because I can't look at them anymore, so I have to run all the way to the corner so the town can pick it up. And we're just trying to make that our forever home and kind of our dream home, so we've been looking at building over there.
So you're being required, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to make sure that I'm clear, there needs to be a minimum setback from both streets, even the one that doesn't exist, correct?
Correct. That's
Yes.
for corner
And what
lot.
is that setback now?
30 feet off of
I thought it was 30.
any other road.
It's 30 feet from any other road, any other property. So we're only requesting against that street for it to be 15, because there's really nothing else.
I couldn't see here, can you tell me what's the lot square footage? Do you have lot dimensions?
Sorry, these are small copies.
Wait, this is gonna only...
I mean, the lot-
You're getting old, I can't
I
see.
know.
100 feet?
So, yes, it's 100 feet, yes. So the
100 feet
the
by-
width is 100 feet by 225, that's really like the whole thing. Yes. And we're gonna be 30 feet from any other direction, and we're just asking for that one side to be 15 feet.
Why do you have to put the house there in that spot? There's a picture of a big trench or swale. Is that your property?
That's
Which one?
Webster, probably.
I don't know which picture you're looking at.
That's probably the street.
That was the
Yeah,
one.
that's.
I think that's Webster,
That's
yeah.
Yeah,
going
the
down,
trench
that's
is
the
the street.
unimproved right of way, that's their property fronts on.
Where that little garden thing's kind of?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the unimproved right of way from which they're requesting the 15-foot setback.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it almost looks like a trench.
Okay. But it's platted, but never, not approved,
Correct.
or improved?
Correct, it's one of, this is one of the shape additions that was platted at the county level, so there's a ton of unimproved roadways or paper right-of-ways where we have the right-of-way, but no improvements ever done.
Is that a Sam Bartlett subdivision, was a Shades one, or is, or, you know, is it?
I'm not sure on that one, it's just north of the Bartlett-Wahlberg Park. So here's the park down here, this is Morton Drive, it's on 129th, and that's their property.
Okay. So it's all, the Shades is a pre-platted subdivision as well.
Yeah, it was a county platted subdivision.
Is there any potential for that road to be traveled ever? Does it landlock anything, or, I mean, obviously it's not traveled now because it was never improved, but does it landlock anything that has some potential?
Everybody who is in there, it looks like they own a good portion. So the one that's just south of their lot, he fronts on 9th Street. The one across from them fronts on Morton Drive. So it doesn't look like there'd be, the only one is this Danielle Torkelson, but I think if I remember talking with the Director of Operations, right, they come in off this 15-foot right-of-way back into here.
Is that a sewer line going through there? There's a
Yeah.
sewer, there's a
So
line.
is this your neighbor, so I'm looking at this right, is this the neighbor? So this is the road where the sewer lines are,
Yes.
this is the neighbor, correct?
Yes.
And what do you think the measurement is from that pole to their house? Would you say that's 30 feet?
It's probably about 7.
They're probably right off, if you're looking at the one in the back, it
Yeah.
looks like they're right
That
on the
utility
line.
pole is on the edge of the right of way, I guarantee you.
Right, so the existing house is there, the setback on that road?
If there had been an adjacent property, so for example, if the one just south of them had been facing this way off of Webster, there is language in the ordinance that would have allowed for there not to be the variance up to 10 feet, but because they don't have an adjacent property next to their property with the less than setback than the 30 feet, that's why they need the variance.
I bet this neighbor had to get a variance to put that fence up.
More than likely, yes, sir.
Okay.
Or a pre-existing.
Or free, yes.
Yes, and then also our driveway is actually off 129th Place right now, because we do have, there's a structure there now as well, on the property, if you look at the, kind of like the drawing of it, so the driveway will be off of 129th Place. No, it's Place.
So it's just that one corner that's in
Just
question.
that one corner that they need a variance from. Lot coverage is good. They're gonna be more than 30 feet back from 129th Place. They're meeting building requirements, and they're meeting the side yard setback or rear yard setback on the other side of the Webster.
And a 15-foot setback certainly wouldn't impede any sewer work or anything that had to be done there.
And really anyone that only travels there is NIPSCO that goes to the back, but the poles are on the other side of that street. So not the side that we're on, but there's 2 poles and they're on the other side of that street.
Yeah, the house has been abandoned for a long time.
Are you gonna keep the existing house, or is?
Yes.
How far is the existing house off the street?
15 feet.
15 feet?
The existing one is 15 feet.
And you're keeping the house?
Yeah.
You're not tearing it down and rebuilding it?
No.
We doing an addition on it or something?
No, it's gonna be like a mother-in-law suite. It's very small. It's a very small space.
There's one picture in here that shows, I thought,
It's more like a shed than a house.
Well, if it's existing, why do they need a variance?
To build a new house.
To build a new
Yeah.
house.
You said you were leaving it.
So we're leaving this one.
We're leaving
but
the
we're not
one
Building a
there.
new one in front
And
of
the
it.
lots will be divided.
Oh,
And
So you have to do a one-lot subdivision too to have 2 separate legals on this?
They could just separate them at county level, because they're all technically platted one-lot subdivision. They could just separate the tax IDs at county level and have 2 different tax IDs.
That might not be accurate, Ashley.
Okay.
The 2 improvements, two uses, primary uses residential, I don't think the county process is adequate.
I think you're right. I think once they're combined, they have to be legally
Well,
separated.
you'd have 2 houses on one zoning lot, even if it changed for tax purposes. That's what the split keynote, and I agree with you about the split keynote, actually, but structural part, the 2 one-lot subdivisions, or 1 subdivision with 2 lots, one to the other.
if you're planning on keeping the existing house, how do you plan on driving back there and having access to the house without using Webster Street?
so if you look at one of the,
On the other side.
so the drawing on there, the driveway actually comes up to the top, so we're kind of on the bottom of the hill. So we're 129 places, it's kind of the bottom of the hill, and the house will go into the hill a little bit for the garage, and then we'll be able to drive around, there'll be a driveway so we can drive around. kinda like a little,
So you don't even need Webster. Your driveway's off 129th anyway.
we are not in New Webster.
They don't even need the road.
You just gotta meet the setback, that's the problem.
Which their house that they have, already existing house already has.
Yeah.
Hey Greg, I don't think the property, I think like that sewer line looks like it's in the middle of the road.
It is.
So I would assume there's gotta be tons of room to work on.
And then also where
I
the,
think so too.
so kinda like you said, it kinda looks like a creek. So right up the road, it pretty much goes straight up. Anyway,
And in that area, the topography is already challenging.
Street that goes straight up, is that,
so it's, no, just so the street is the Webster Street where it goes, kinda on the side, and our property goes straight up the street, so it's not, it's kind of off of the corner of 129th Place and Webster, the whole property goes up, kinda like slants up, and then
Yeah, we're kind
it's
of
kinda
up,
top
like,
of the
on the
hill.
hill.
So really off of 129th, off of Webster, it's not flat to our property, it actually goes up probably about 7 feet, kinda on the incline.
Yeah, you got a steep grade.
Yes.
in there.
Mm-hmm.
is this over by Townfoot?
You probably didn't know him, but at the three-way stop, there's a road just past Louis Vick's old house that goes up at an angle, and then
Okay. Oh,
it takes a
okay.
hard right and
All
goes
right,
up.
all right, I know
It's
what
gonna
you're
be
talking
about
about.
halfway
Yeah, all
up.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not Hilltop, it's the next little, yeah, Merton Drive.
So if you're gonna split this, how big is this piece of property?
It's 22,500 square feet currently.
How many?
22,500 square feet.
So you could do R2s and with 10,000 each.
A little over. Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to give him something here, then he has a problem down the road with the size of the property.
He still has more square footage than most of the stuff that's up there now.
Understood.
If they were divided equally, they could get approximately 11,250 square feet between the two.
Yeah, I really don't see any problem with that, 15 feet.
That's been done before, hasn't it, Mr. Lushy?
Yeah, I mean, especially with, yeah.
Okay. You mind, you have anything else to present at this time?
I think we submitted everything in our
Yeah.
paperwork, actually.
All right, we're just gonna ask if there's anybody here who wants to speak on this issue. You mind having a seat for just a minute? Do we have any remonstrators for this variance? Any remonstrators for?
I'm just right behind him, I'm okay with it.
Okay, would you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Christopher Ranglicki. I own 12922 Ninth Street, which my backyard backs up to the property right there. I agree, no one ever uses Webster. I mean, they fit a pickup truck down how it sits right now, it's horrible, so it's nothing I want to look at living there, so if someone's going to do something better with it, I'm 100% okay with it.
Well, a footnote to that is that whole area was reconstructed and got curbs and gutter and stormwater infrastructure, and Webster didn't get improved when that happened, so there must not have been, no one saw the need to improve it. When that got reconstructed, if it was necessary for it to be reconstructed, it would have got reconstructed.
Yeah, to say there's even gravel there would be far-fetched to say on the road. I mean, there's nothing. I mean,
Well, it does look like it may have been paved at one time. That may have been something that NIPSCO had done, who knows, to keep access open to those utility poles, but
The best thing I could say, looking at the contours, is due to the contouring of the right-of-way, it's got some pretty steep and significant grading. It might have been determined at the time when they did it that it was not cost beneficial to improve Webster at that time.
Well, I mean, if it would have, that's my argument would have been at the time, if it was necessary for somebody using it, it should have got done, but it must not have been. I mean, I was on the council at the time, and that would have been my argument. It's just basically it's just a sewer,
Like a right-of-way.
utility use.
okay. All right, thanks for your comments. Anyone else have a comment for or against? Ms. Abernathy, anybody online?
No, sir.
All right,
Were they given
any
the,
written correspondence?
No,
were
sir.
given the, finding the fact sheet?
They were, did I forget to include it in your packet?
I don't see it in here.
My apologies, I forgot to include it in the packet. They did submit it with their paperwork.
You didn't see any problems with their answers?
Is it in their file over there, Mr. Ashton?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see any problems with it when I read it.
Okay, while they're looking, I'm gonna close the public portion of this hearing. You can step back up, please, if you would. Do you have any building department comments?
Talking with the building department and the inspector, they don't really see any issues with this item. Again, it's a 15-foot setback on a corner lot that has an unimproved street. The only thing would be a potential change in address for that front building, and talking with PD, Chief Bill, his suggestion is 7405 West 129th Place for a address for that property.
So yeah, it would have to be on the frontage street.
Yeah.
That, is that ministerial, Dave?
No, it's a strict provision of your code.
So what do they have to do to make sure that that happens?
Which part of this parcel is being developed by way of the proposal you have before the BZA tonight? On the street side or to the rear?
It's on the side of 129th Place.
Both of them will front to 129th when they're done.
And it's
Yes.
just a driveway?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it's just a driveway. So it'll be part of the permitting process for occupancy.
Okay.
If it were, a situation where the two houses were front and back on a platted lot, it's gonna become two, that would be where there's a problem. The access on a public frontage is required.
Right. I mean, they meet that requirement.
Yeah, they do.
With both houses, really. I mean, even.
Well, that's
the-
why. The second house is the one that they're building, I presume,
Yes.
and it fronts. So it's driveway access and it's permitted with a building permit.
So that address can be corrected at the permit?
It can, it should be. In fact, it has to be, because you have two primary residential structures.
I just wanted to make sure that they didn't have to do something else legally, advertise or whatever. It was just,
I don't think so. The fact pattern that we heard tonight is the fact pattern. It's driveway.
It will honestly be easier to find, because right now,
well,
GPS takes to our Webster address, is about 1.5 miles away.
yeah, if
Like
somebody
closer.
needed an ambulance or something, that becomes a huge problem.
Yes.
That's, in your process, you're correcting that as well.
It's a good point.
Yes.
Well, that, in GIS, they show Webster as Whitney Street, which Whitney Street is not a street that has ever existed in the town.
There's a lot of them over there like that.
Well, according to this diagram or this overlay you have here, the house you're gonna build is on 129th Place.
Yes.
The other house is directly behind it, it's sitting there.
Yeah.
So how does it front on 129th?
That one fronts on Webster.
Well, that's what we asked before. And does that create a problem with it being on Webster?
It's platted, albeit unimproved street, right?
So does that come up with,
It still goes into permitting, because it's public right of way there for access.
That house already exists, and the new one's gonna have frontage on 129th. So it's legal, non-conforming, pre-existing,
Legacy,
all of those.
yeah, we got a
things.
couple of paths here. But John, your point's well made. If they were stacked, if you will, from the public way, and there was a structure to the rear of the property that depended upon the front property to access the public way, that's a problem. and that would require another variance.
Because if they split this and then they wind up selling that back property,
There's still access to the public way, given
from Webster.
from Webster, Webster's a public way.
It always had access in Webster.
Yeah, but how does it
Just
not
don't
An
use it.
unimproved street, I guess, is what it is today, right?
We have several places in town that have access from an unimproved street.
More than one, for sure.
Fairbanks, at the south end off of 145th, there's 3 or 4 houses on that street, they're all, the street's unimproved, and they've been that way since I've been living here, and that's a long time.
Well, I just don't wanna do something and have a problem because of what we did.
No, I don't think there is a problem for what you're doing.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, did you finish with your building department comments, Ashley?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any additional board discussion?
Nope.
If that's the case, motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the developmental variance
The findings of fact.
to include the findings of fact.
Thank you.
I will second it.
Motion been made and seconded to grant, for findings of fact. Any questions on the motion?
No.
Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Caporo?
Yes.
Mr. Bundy?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Good luck with your new home.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Item number 2 under new business, McGuffey, order petitioner Danielle McGuffey, 11018 West 127th Place. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a pool approximately 6 feet from the house, primary structure. Dave?
This is whose publication or an evidence, public hearing may be conducted.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Give us an idea, are you Danielle?
I am,
Okay,
yes.
would you like to give us an idea what you'd like to do?
Yeah, so our property, from the back of our house to the back of the property is 44 feet. We have a 2-foot overhang on the back of our house with the 12-foot easement off the back and then the 12-foot off of the overhang of the house. We are left with not enough space to construct a pool. So what we'd like to do is allow that to be 8 feet from the back of the house on the first level and 6 feet from the secondary level. It will meet all other requirements of 10 feet off of the sides and 12 off of the back.
Okay. What's the diameter of the pool?
24 feet. It is, but a 21 also won't fit.
Oh.
Yeah,
The 6 feet is coming off from the overhang, you're saying?
correct,
So-
yeah. So it'll be 8 feet off of the back of the
Of the
house.
house, okay.
Mhm. And they included some documents in there. It appears because of the sizing of our lots, there are several other homes in our subdivision that have also had to have the same developmental variance where their pools are right up to the back of their home.
I think we've also not allowed something there, haven't we? This is in,
Monastery.
Monastery Woods.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I see.
Oh, yeah, it's part of the packet.
It is page 5 for her petition.
Actually, there's 8.
So is the deck is not, the footprint of the deck is not on the survey?
It is not currently. We are going to take the deck down
Okay.
in order to construct a pool so that it fits in the backyard. You'll also see on the pictures, there's a play set. We're going to move that over. We also have to get our NIPSCO lines moved. Lots of work back there, and we'll of course submit the permits for the deck and the, construction.
I have a question for Ashley that's unrelated. So all these other pools that are in Monastery Woods, were all of these permitted? Or did people just put pools in just out of curiosity?
I would have to take a look, but likely they would have gone through the same process of obtaining the variance and the permit. I know it's been referenced in the past that a lot of the houses had to come forward for variances because, for example, if we look at lot 29, that pool is pretty close to the house. And if it's something that didn't get a permit, the inspectors have been finding items that were put up without permits and notices have been being posted about items being constructed without a permit.
And not everyone on there, there's a little key, not everyone is that close to the home. I believe there were 3 that I marked with a X or a,
X with the circle.
yes,
Yeah,
those are the ones that are clearly within the 10 feet. The rest are from my judge of measurement.
That's a two-story house?
It is, yes.
So the overhang is coming from the second story though, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I didn't realize the overhang counted for distance away from the structure. It does.
I would think the distance part of it.
Well, that boils down to the safety factor too, is being 6 foot away. If you want to discourage anybody from jumping off the roof into the pool, 6 feet, 6 feet, you know, when you got a little Jack Daniel in you, you don't realize how far 6 feet is.
Yeah, it's all full of that, John.
Me?
Enough Jack, I'm sure someone would jump from any distance.
I'm just saying, there's no guarantees, so you have to look at the safety factor involved with it. And 6 feet is definitely not feasible in my book.
I mean, I have a pool, and I had to get a permit variance, and everything. I had to downsize my pool to fit in my backyard. I wasn't able to put a 24. I ended up putting 18, which I regret, but that was all I could put. So my pool meted all the variances that were supposed to be done. Because I also had drainage in my backyard. Then I had a fenced-in backyard also. So I just made sure that I put the smaller pool in there so it would fit. But now that all these other residents in your subdivision have gone and done it, and they're on record that they got approved.
It looks like it's been granted before, that's what.
Exactly.
I'm sure we have. I know we have.
So if they granted that,
You're not gonna be looking for any other variances in the near future then? Because once you kind of get one variance, then it gets tough for if you want to do anything else out there.
Absolutely not,
Yeah, no plans on rebuilding the deck or?
Those lots are so small.
The deck will go, we are planning to put a smaller deck just on the side of the pool so that it would have safe access into the pool. But it's gonna meet all of the requirements of the town, there'll be no variance needed for that, yeah.
Because some people come back and they'll want a shed to put the stuff in, so it gets kind of, so
Yeah.
you want to spend that variance best way you can.
If you move the location to the east,
Unfortunately, we attempted that, but no, it's 44 feet from the home, regardless of where you're at on the property. So even if I put it into the, I guess that'd be east,
northeast corner?
Yeah, that corner, it's still, in order to meet the 12 and the 10, there's no possible way to meet the back of the house as well.
Okay. Is it greater than the 6 feet as you have proposed
No,
here?
it's exactly the same across, because it's parallel to the property.
I can actually talk about the 6 feet. We calculated it when we reviewed it at the building department, and I was gonna get to that at that, but since we're talking about the 6 feet, the length from the house to the driveway is 31. The house is total of 40.55, and we calculated the whole length of the lot minus the 12-foot drainage with the 24-foot pool. It actually would be 7.5 feet from the overhang. So it's a greater distance than what was advertised for,
Okay.
by a foot and a half.
by a foot and a half.
which means then 6 inches off like the first level.
Yeah, you'd be
Or
7.5
9.5.
feet away from the overhang.
Yeah.
And 9.5 feet away from the house.
How far away from the overhang?
7.5 feet.
Put an oval pool in?
I'm not sure of the dimensions of an old pool, I don't wanna lie.
Well, you're asking us to adjust our ordinance to meet your wants, instead of you adjusting your wants to meet our ordinance.
I'm not saying I won't adjust my wants, I'm telling you truthfully, I didn't look at, we went to St. John Pool, we're looking local, they only sell round pools, not oval pools, and they have the 24 and the 21, and we would like to put the 24 foot in. My son is 8, he's a member of Jane Ball, loves to swim, and so just looking to have something for him to do during the summer.
Oh, I understand all that, but we still got an ordinance.
Yep, completely understand.
That's kind of a side effect of having approving subdivisions with lots that are incredibly small.
Correct.
So Ashley, really it's gonna be 6 inches out of compliance?
No.
It'll be about a foot from the house out of compliance, 2.5 feet from the overhang.
Okay.
And one of these that you pointed out is like 3 feet away from the house, right? Judging by what I'm seeing here.
There's 3 of them that are right against the house. Far closer than what we're requesting.
Those had to go through the variance process as well.
Greg, there's one over here that doesn't have grass in it, and has a pool that's round. It looks like it's right next to the sidewalk, and it's a side yard.
I don't know who took these photos, but they are,
Is that a Centennial? I think that was a Centennial, the one you just mentioned there.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the picture right here. It's in her subdivision, she marked it.
That must have been a very early, overhead photo.
The photo I put was Google Earth, and they haven't
well, it's
updated
just
it
a great
in a while.
illustration.
It says, I mean,
Well, it is a good
guys, somebody,
I don't have a problem with it. Does it meet the findings of fact? Is it,
Actually, the findings of fact are very good here. You prepared them custom. They are compliant with the requirements of the statute and our zoning ordinance. So you may want to take a glance at those before you approve them, or consider them. I don't know, assume you're approving. And there's significant reference in the findings of fact to past approvals.
yeah.
does your neighbor behind you, that, they have a pool then, correct?
They do, yeah, they
Is it-
just put it up last summer.
And is it a 24?
I believe it's a 21, but they have a smaller house, about, I think, 600 feet or so, so it's,
And they're also at 12 off the sewer, you know, the...
they are, yeah, because
drainage or
I
whatever.
asked them when I found out I had to do this, just to try to get some tips, and, they said they did not have to, they met all the requirements.
They must have a little more room, and then they want the smaller pool. So their radius when they went instead of 24, they went with a 21.
So I'm pretty sure they're also more than 10 feet off of the back of the home, because they also have a hot tub, they're putting a deck, they got a lot of space there.
You might consider the deck you can attach the deck to the pool. I mean, I've seen other people do that. They come out their sliding door and it's, you know, an X amount of feet or whatever, and that's what they do.
There's about a 10-foot size difference between her and her back neighbor
Oh, wow.
in houses. For her neighbors, there's approximately 33 feet, hers is about 43.27, give or take.
I don't have any other
anything else to present at this time?
I do not.
You might mind taking a seat for just
Sure.
half a minute? Want to do something? Do we have any remonstrators for this variance? Any remonstrators for? Any remonstrators against this variance? Anybody against? Ashley?
Nothing online and nothing written.
Okay. With that, we'll close the public portion of this hearing. You can come back up now, please. Man, this is a toughie. I mean, I see John's side, and we've done a number of these pools over the years. And I agree that it's amenity that can be enhancement to your property, but at the same time, you know, these are always not real easy cut and dry decisions for us, so.
Well, I'm sure she could find an oval pool, not oval, but a oblong pool that would fit in there.
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure, because they make them.
I know they
then
make them,
also-
but where our home is at, because our neighbor and friends 2 houses down, they have an oval, but they have more space in their backyard as well, and they just met.
It doesn't matter about your neighbor, we're talking about you right
Yes.
now, your property. And I'm saying you didn't do your homework enough to tell us that you definitely can't put an oblong pool in there. But I'm telling you, I think you can. Okay? Now, if you want to put it to a vote, you can tell these guys to put it to a vote and see where it shakes out. And they may say yes, and we may say no. So it's up to you. I think you can get a pool in there to meet the ordinance if you shop around. My feelings.
How soon are you thinking of needing to get going on this?
This
I
summer,
realize it's
we have an order waiting with NIPSCO, in order for them to move the lines, because they have to move those back to meet the requirements, because we have multiple lines running through our backyard.
Because their other option is, and I don't know if this is what John's alluding to, but we could put you on hold for a month. You could do a little shopping around, maybe you won't need a variance. If you can find something like what John's speaking of, you know, I applaud that you want to certainly shop locally, but, you know, there's Caribbean pools, they're in Cherville, so.
Yeah, they do that, I think they're in ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm bringing it up, because if we do put it to a vote, and you get turned down, declined, then you have to wait a year before you can come back and offer something, and it's gotta be significantly different than what you originally asked for,
Okay.
okay?
Is there, I mean, can I look on my phone and see if it's even possible right now to get an oval? I don't know the measurements, I'm sorry. I came in with a request. That store only sells the round pools, and so that's what we...
What's the diameter of your oval pool?
I don't have the round pool is 24.
24.
Yes.
Okay, so you need something that would be, say, 21 foot wide by whatever length you want, and it'll fit. No variance.
Or up to 20 feet, you know, wide, and you can go longer.
And no variance. Okay, that's all we're saying, and then you meet your variances, there's no problem, you know, because I don't wanna start setting precedents, and, I know
Respectfully,
there's a lot
sir,
of
that
folks-
precedent's been set.
I have not, I've been on this board about 10 years, I have not agreed to one that is 3 foot off the house. We just had one last year where it's similar to what you're talking about, and they had a downsize to a different type of pool that to fit it in, and they didn't need a variance. So I'm just saying that's my take on the subject. Now, of course, you can do what you want. You can do like Jeff says, you can get a deferral, look around and see, you know, come back next month, and if you can find one that'll fit, you don't need a variance, you don't need to be here.
So if she went to a 21, would that beat her variance? She went from a 24, did a 21, would the math work?
Well, it takes 3 feet off, so I mean, or,
Is that what we're
Because
measuring?
it's 7.5 from the back.
We're bantering around with the number of 7.5, so.
So if you added another 3,
So.
10.5, she meets it, she doesn't have to be here.
If she went down to a 21, it would give approximately 12.5 feet between the back of the house and the pool. With it still being off the easement.
And
how long has this subdivision been, how long old is this subdivision? Isn't this a subdivision current than 10 years?
It's 17 years old.
It's north.
These houses here, this subdivision's been there for 17 years?
We're talking about Monastery, right?
Monastery Woods, where the...
North.
Yeah,
Monastery.
North?
Yeah. North side of 129.
17 years. The subject's come up recently, that's why I know that.
There was I believe, a repurchase of the property by Accent Homes, and they're the developer of all the recent
Yeah,
homes.
there were
We
a lot
moved
of-
in 14.
There were a lot of hiccups between when it started. First got a couple buildings in there, and then one of the builders went away.
Basically, your call.
So, may I ask a question?
Sure.
I go to a 21, I don't even need to be here, correct?
From what we've been able to calculate out
Yeah.
tonight, that's correct.
Okay. I would like to get a 24, so we have enough space, so I guess might as well go to vote, right? Because that doesn't impact anything, since I would not need a variance on a 24-foot pole, or, I'm sorry, a 21-foot pole. Pool.
Yeah, you just need to get a permit and put it in.
Right, okay. So then I would like to vote.
All right.
Can't argue with that logic.
Okay. Any other board discussion?
Nope.
Okay. Then again, a motion would be in order.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make a motion to approve the developmental variance, including the findings of fact
So second it.
for the 24-foot pool.
Approve as presented.
As presented.
Okay, motion made by Greg, seconded by Ray. Any questions on the motion? Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera?
No.
Mr. Bugby?
No. Motion passes on a vote of 3-2.
Thank you.
Item number 3, Takas? Tekas. I'm sorry. Dale Takas, 10007 West 145th Avenue, Cedar Lake. This is a developmental variance to allow petitioner to construct a 6-foot privacy fence on the property line of a corner lot served by sidewalks. Mr. Austin? It is in Rosebud. Or Rose Garden, Rosebud. I'm a movie buff, so that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff in my...
It's all right, I do that.
In order? All right, good evening. Give us an idea what you'd like to do.
So we would like to put a fence in our full backyard, but also our side backyard. We want to put up a 6-foot privacy fence that goes 24 feet off of our house.
This is in Rose Garden Estates.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
And it's in your backyard on the property line.
Correct.
Is it because it's a 6-foot fence you need the variance? What,
So,
why is it?
It's
It's a
because
corner lot.
we're on a corner lot.
Corner lot. So the old two front yards thing, right?
It's all very confusing. When the main reason we purchased this lot, we were actually the first ones in on the third, phase. And we had our choice of lot, and this was the largest lot, and I asked if we can fence it in, and they said, yes, we can fence it in, but we found out we can't fence it in now, so that's why we're here. We have.
Whenever you're dealing with something on a purchase, make sure whatever they tell you is in writing.
Yes, well, we have it in writing, from Lennar in email and in text message, that we are able to fully fence in the side yard. And then we also got it from the, association that we were able to fence in it completely on the side yard.
Okay. Is that true, David? Is that part of our PUD with them?
It is not.
No.
I read it today again. That's like 100 and some odd pages long.
Fascinating reading, I'm sure.
So it goes as a side yard, the fence is not allowed to go past the house. So like this, you know, going down that side street, they went all the way, it looks like you guys are just feet from the front of your house. Am I looking at that wrong? This is the front of the house, correct? This fence, you have it going up to the corner of your house. This is your front yard.
No,
This is your
so
side yard.
actually.
it was gonna be offset further back
Yeah, it actually is gonna be,
to enclose,
Here.
like,
This is the edge, that's the end of your house.
that's the end of our house.
This is where your fence needs to go.
Correct.
This is not gonna be
So,
there. This drawing?
It actually is going to be like, right outside of our air conditioning unit.
What does the building department say about that? I met with I'm, as far as I know, it's not allowed to go past the house on that
So
side.
if they're wanting a 6-foot
That's
privacy
right.
fence, it
What
would
I
need to
noticed
be the
when
30-foot setback following front yard setback, which a corner lot has 30 foot on both. Given that their PUD arranged for a 25-foot building setback line, they could go to that and have the 6-foot privacy fence. If they wanted to go a 4-foot privacy fence or a 6-foot fixed open fence, they could go 20 feet back from the right-of-way line or the property line with the corner lot on the sidewalk.
So that would be 6 feet off of the back of our house. Correct? Because we're 26 feet.
Right, it could go out about, so you have a 25-foot building setback line, it would have to be 20 feet in from this portion of the yard here. And that would have to be 50% open unless you get a variance for it to be a 6-foot privacy.
So the house is 26 feet off of Garden Way,
Correct.
and the ordinance says you have to be 25 feet off of Garden Way
If they
for a
wanted to,
6-foot privacy fence.
because it would have to meet the front side yard, the front building line. If they're wanting to take it further out to that 20 feet, which is allowable by ordinance, then it would have to be either 50% open or a 4-foot high privacy fence. Their request is to take it to the property line, right along the sidewalk, which is not allowable by ordinance for front yards, 4-foot or 6-foot, no matter what style of fence.
What's been the policy of the BZA in the past on these items? I know from my experience, this has always been a very lengthy, a lot of good air wasted on two front yards and fences and all this. And I don't know I've been involved in a lot of the dialogue, but I don't know what the outcome ever has been. And was it addressed in the new zoning ordinance at all?
I think so, and we tried to address it and simplify this, and dumb it down, simplify it down. So that line is the front line. Not seeing any change in that.
We had one about a year or two ago over in Lynn's Way, where it's a corner lot, he wanted to put it right off of the sidewalk, and we did not allow it.
I think I remember that one.
And he has it back, whatever the distance is 20 foot or whatever, privacy fence on that corner lot. And that's the way it stands now. I know he was really upset, he walked out on us. His wife stayed and finished the meeting, but.
I'm fairly new to the BZA.
I was gonna say, I won't walk out with you guys.
No, it's fine.
But we have not allowed, to my recollection, a 6-foot privacy fence right that close to the street.
That's the
It's
general.
supposed to be
rule.
off the sidewalk.
Right, that's the general rule, and you generally apply it.
Right.
The most recent one, we had one last summer, June, July area. He was up in Havenwood, and he was going to do that, but he took a deferral and then determined he was going to meet the variance and withdrew. So no variance was ever applied for, but he had
Right.
the
Right,
same.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
I don't understand why you can't drop down to, if they went down to a 4-foot,
If they went down to a 4-foot and were 20 feet away from the property line, they wouldn't need a variance, they could just apply for a building permit. Same thing if they
But
went
then
with
they'd
a
have-
6-foot or 50%.
then they would have a 6-foot side yard to the fence, 6 foot to the fence. Right. So any way you look at it, you're gonna have 1 foot or 6 foot side yard. Unless you cut the distance back to, the fence to the back of the house or so.
Our biggest thing is like safety for our kids. We have 3 kids, 4 and under.
Understood.
So that's why, as far as the 50% space opening, a lot of the fences in Rose Garden are like those wrought iron or those aluminum ones.
yeah, I drove by this afternoon, well, go ahead. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
and I just, for safety purposes, and we also have 2 dogs, like we moved in August, and we've already had 2 instances where we've had issues with people that were masked driving around and yelling out their car to kids, asking them if they want McDonald's to try to get them in their car. So it's more of a safety thing for me to make sure that they are in the backyard, but we also have like a big enough backyard for them, which is what we were hoping to have to begin with. So, and even if you guys don't grant us the whole, 24 feet off, I'm definitely open to suggestions. I just can't fathom having it open facing with the sidewalk that close.
If they were to reduce it to the 20-foot allowable by ordinance and still request for it to be a 6-foot privacy, that could be something that they could request as a variance. That I believe might have been done in the past, but I'm not 100% positive on that one.
Remember anything about that?
That we have done.
I don't remember that, but I say I haven't been on this board forever, so.
Well, the one,
All this contentiousness has come up since you've been on this board, because you've been on, well, maybe not, you were on the planning commission for
Same amount of time,
12 years, 10 years?
about 10 years or more.
10 years or more. I know that discussion was had in the past 10 years.
It has been had, there's no question about it,
I just never knew what the outcome was.
after 100 or 200 meetings, you don't remember every one.
I don't remember.
Does anyone in Rose Garden have a fence that close to the road?
So we are actually the only corner of lot, like everything else is curved.
Curved or like.
So we're the only house that is on a corner lot that has like a
So it's
backyard
my
here.
recollection, like I said, I've done a bunch of them. I know subdivisions where because I also served on this board, some subdivisions, they already granted before, so it's kind of foolish to stop it, but if we don't have anyone in precedence for yours, I mean, this we need to come to, I wouldn't want to make this, I wouldn't want to pass this one. I think that you guys, we need to,
I
think the setbacks need to be set
I
now.
don't see a way to pass it.
Right. Well, for one, it can't go, I've never seen it go past the house. And I know how many permits I've seen. They don't go past that end of the road.
What if we go off the back of the house, but we go out, we don't fence in that side yard at all? Like we go off the back of the house?
Yeah, if you did that back corner, you wouldn't even be here. But then you're losing part of your backyard. I get that.
Well, what I'm saying
But
is
when you
like-
have it going with the fence approaching to the front of the house, I've never seen that proved.
So if we don't do that part though, but I mean, what I'm saying is I still want to have the fence, I don't want to go right off the back of my house, because I'm losing then a decent amount of side yard. Is there any way that we can go off the back of our house and have some of that side yard?
you can if you drop it down to 4 foot, and 50% open, 50% opaque.
Is that the way I understand the ordinance, Ashley?
So if they were to go to the 20 feet from the property line, it would have to be a 4-foot privacy or 6-foot 50% open. And the reason that was left in the ordinance was for vision triangles and safety of pedestrian and vehicular traffic.
That I agree with. I mean, you have to have a vision, especially on a corner lot, because there's traffic and people have to be able to see.
But we're set back, like, our backyard is, I mean, more than
Be 120 feet from.
from the corner.
From the front of the house, or from the street side. So getting,
There's a huge, I mean, like, we're not right where you're not gonna have any visual at all. Like, you're gonna have plenty, I mean, you have over 120 feet if you're at this stop sign, or we don't even have a stop sign there, there is no stop sign, it's just, I guess, yield, I don't know.
Well, the other thing that I look at too is if you're on even a block north, 144th, looking down Garden Way, and you're taking in the panoramic, streetscape, now all of a sudden you're looking at 20 feet of fence that protrudes out into that vista, looking down the street. And I think that's something that John and I have talked about numerous times, is how much of that bump out is distracting as far as following the building lines going up and down the street.
What you're saying, so you're coming down Garden Way, that you feel that seeing the white fence is distracting?
Well, I just don't think it's necessarily very appealing, yes. I don't know if I'd say distracting, but certainly not appealing.
I guess my concern is that if we do the 6 foot, if we go 6 feet off of our house, we will be doing 50% open, and then doing the rest of the fence privacy. I feel like that would be that's less appealing, because we have, technically with our neighbor's fence and then our fence, we're gonna have 3 different fences in one area.
Well,
And that would be,
That's what you choose to do.
Nothing changed on that with the new zoning ordinance.
No.
So that's the same as.
So your 3 different fences has nothing to do with anyway, that's just what your neighbor.
right, I'm just saying, like,
decided.
he felt that was not appealing, I would say, well, this
I
is
see the
even more
safety part of
appealing,
it
where
completely. I have a 6-foot fence, so, I mean, but I live on Center, my fence doesn't go past my house, and I'm not on a corner lot. But like in the subdivision I live, before we got through it, there was someone that had a corner lot, and then all of a sudden, every single corner lot wanted to have a fence that goes up, and that was a mistake. We can actually reconcile this one and make it so that doesn't happen. But you deserve to have privacy and keep your kids safe regardless of what, is going on in your neighborhood. You should have the rights to do that. I would think you want to stay.
We've never got on a balance with that.
What's that?
We've never been able in this community to get on a balance with that.
Well, I remember what happened in my subdivision that I live in. I know what happened.
These corner lots have always been just, and it comes up all the time. I'm sure it does.
There's one in Havenwood where he came in and he wanted a corner lot, and he wanted it right up to the sidewalk, and we didn't allow that either, and he went ahead and he put it up according to the ordinance. And
they put bushes.
I'm talking about Ravenway and Mornington. But we did not allow it there. It looks to me like the fence is not going past the front of the house.
no,
Because the stripe area is your building, correct?
yes.
Correct.
And it looks like the fence is stopping just short of the front to me. I see there's a big black square there, but I'm looking at that, 145th and Garden Way doesn't look like, just speaking, a 6-foot fence would hinder the view of traffic. But a 6-foot fence is not allowed, but I don't think there's a problem with the view. I don't see how we can allow this either.
One of those situations where we certainly want to work with you, but there's no there's no solution to this one that I can see, unless you have one, Dave.
Well, first of all, this begs for a deferral. Secondly, because of the safety circumstances here that are on this record now, I would think that a review or a visit by you folks with our building staff could at least explore all of the legalities, if you will, of setbacks, size, height, location, find you perhaps a solution. Obviously bought this home, you're living in it, it's quite an investment, and you're looking for some additional enhancement to safety for your children.
Correct.
And I think we're on notice about that. Can we plat subdivisions better? Probably so. Probably so. But we're dealing now, as John said earlier in the previous item, we're dealing with what we have, and probably need to find a way here to make it work. Make something work for a permit so a fence can be built.
Would you be okay with a deferral to see if there's any other avenue that can be looked at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that'll do is put you back here next month. Got really nothing to lose.
No, that'd be fine.
And then that gives you a chance to, some time to mull over our objections to what, and it's, and, I don't know. Another thing too, this is, you said this is the third phase? These are homes that have been in the community for, less than 2 years?
Less than a year.
And,
No,
well, in some of the phases anyway. And just to start having to get these kinds of requests, brought in front of us, it just, I understand your concerns and your safety and that kind of stuff, but like Eric brought up, once something like this gets approved, then the domino effect of it is, there's areas where it's happened before, and it's not very appealing. So, but yes, if you take some time and mull it over and meet with staff and see if,
your lot's 87 by 125, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Certainly not an issue with the lot size there. Those are good lot sizes.
A huge lot size, it's just the way that our side yard is, it's huge, like that, again, that was the main reason we purchased the lot to build, because I had emails stating from Lennar saying, yes, we can fence in our side yard. Otherwise, we would have picked the lot on the pond to have a better view. But we figured with our 3 children, we need as much property as possible, and, wanting to make sure that they're in the backyard and fenced in. So as of right now, our options are going off the back of the fence, or off the back of the house, 6-foot privacy, or 6 feet off the house with, 50%.
4-foot privacy, or 50% up to 6 feet, correct?
I think it'd be best if you came in and talked to staff, maybe like Ashley, and go over everything, and then you can take notes, or you can get documentation or something of what you can actually do, and work from there. Because if we're telling you this, you're trying to remember what I said, and it can get confusing, because it confuses me.
I don't know if it's a solution, but it might make it better than what we have right now.
You was gonna say something, we get confused.
Huh?
It's an effort we need to make also. When you look at a project like Rose Garden Estates, 100 acres of property in 3 phases.
Yeah.
353 homes. You're looking at paper when you're reviewing it. You're getting the best paper you can get from appraisers and surveyors and architects and engineers, but it's still paper. Seeing how it works, this lot probably looked just fine on that site plan for site plan approval purposes and meeting our standards for zone size area. But the reality is, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it isn't, think, what
what do we do? But we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. The fear here, though, is setting a precedent for something that, for that subdivision. I think this, what,
Well, Greg, this will not be the first time.
well, I know it's coming
It won't
back,
be
there'll
the
be
last
more,
time.
there'll be more, your neighbors will be
Montessori
neighbors
Woods
stuff
North,
too.
go up and down that street, Centennial, go up and down past Centennial. You can see it in all of them in some fashion.
Yeah, I know Centennial has quite a few of them on the corner that have side lots. There's the two of them that I saw driving through.
Is this the first variance you've seen for Rose Garden Estates, you guys?
It is, I think it's the second.
Yeah.
The other one was a deck request? It was a deck.
Rear yard setback with the deck. Which is incredibly good, given the legislation we were working off of before then,
Yeah, the old zoning ordinance,
where everything was a variance.
yeah.
Did you, when you went to the homeowners over there at Rose Garden, did you give them the diagram that we're looking at here?
Yes, sir.
You gave them all that?
Yes.
Okay.
The same diagram that you guys have is what I gave them.
And
I see the approval letter, but, you know, usually, I used to live where Eric lives, and we were both on the building committee over there for a while. And we'd get a diagram and all this stuff and look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but wasn't our covenants according to town ordinances, right?
Correct.
Yeah, we didn't have any variances off town ordinances.
Placement where the fence went was issued through the town. So your covenants approved the layout of this fence?
Yes, sir.
They didn't even wait, wow.
It was approved, and like I said, we also got the approval from Lennar before we built the house.
But, yeah, right, you know.
Which I think is like the most frustrating part out of this, and like I said, 'cause that was the main reason we bought this.
I think you should, what I would suggest you is go back to the building committee and make sure, because that's what's gonna count. They're the ones who are gonna have to issue the permit. And I have never seen where they put the fence as far up on the front of your house like that. It's only a setback of feet.
Is that the only thing holding you back?
I've never seen that. And then also, if you took that 20, you have 26 feet off that corner, if you moved it in 20, you could have a 6-foot fence.
I mean, we would be willing to go off the back of the house, come
You went off the back corner,
Come off
like your
6
6 feet, because you'd still have your 20, and you would have
But
it.
can we come off 6 feet
I'll
off
show
the
you.
house and have it privately fenced?
Yeah.
Not 50% open?
Like this, I mean, according to what you just said.
If you
this
diminish
is-
the size to 4 foot.
Well, I don't, we were talking, this is 26 feet from the corner of your house right here to here.
Correct.
If you shortened it and went to 20, that's your 20 foot, you could go 6 feet off the corner, don't approach any of this,
Okay.
and go straight down, I think you can get your 6-foot privacy fence.
As long as the variance is
As
granted.
long, they need a 20-foot setback variance?
For six-foot
Privacy.
privacy,
For
because the
privacy.
ordinance
100%
requires
privacy.
it to be a minimum.
So your vision, now they're gonna take that fence 20 feet off the road and go towards the backyard.
And that still is giving us...
This part right
6
here?
feet.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that.
Greg?
I'd be all right with it.
This
too.
part here would now come back, they'd be 6 feet off their house, they'd still have their 20. You would have then you'd have all this, so now you can see, they can get their safety for their kids that they would like to have.
We would definitely be willing to do that.
I mean, like I said, I've never ever seen that, where that fence goes past the house. I have seen where they've gone, if they have like a utility door off the garage, and they want to fence that in, yes, John, we've gone past and gone and let them do that, but you have nothing on that side of the house.
No.
So there's no reason to fence it.
The only reason was to enclose the air conditioning unit that's on the side of the house. 'Cause
So,
that's
to
kind of a
my
back door.
understanding, they could technically have their 6-foot privacy, if they went off their 20, and went off the corner of the house.
As long as the variance is granted.
As long as I grant them a 20-foot variance from that.
Sounds
What-
like you don't need a deferral anymore.
What the variance would then need to be is a 6-foot privacy fence on the corner, 20 feet from the right-of-way line.
I want
On
to
a
protect the
corner
kids too, but I also want to put in something that's realistic, and to start a precedent, that won't be something that can be.
I don't wanna start a precedence either, especially if it can be misused later.
Do you feel comfortable with that I'm gonna ask that, right? Do you feel comfortable with that 20-foot setback then off the road?
Yeah.
I mean, they're still gonna get their 6, you're gonna have 7 foot there, but then you're gonna at least have your fence that you like. You're just losing it. Like you said, you can't approach that front of that corner. I won't go for that.
So, this variance basically satisfies the 2 front yard setback requirement.
But I would have to make sure,
No, you need to still approve it.
we still need to approve the 20-foot, correct?
That's right.
For the 6-foot privacy.
Everything
Where's
works
the
off
6-foot
that.
privacy?
If we grant that variance, though, it satisfies the 2 front yard setback requirement.
Should.
Yes, because then you're granting a variance from the requirements of it having to be the 50% open or the 4 feet high.
How close will the fence be to the sidewalk then?
20 feet?
20 feet.
It'd be 20 feet,
Okay.
which is in alignment with what's allowed for the 6-foot or 4-foot, if the 6-foot if it's 50% open.
Are you folks good with that?
Yeah.
Just to flame it, we just make sure, like I said, the way that drawing is, we're not approving that. My understanding, just so we're all on the same page, this fence is now gonna come off the corner of their house,
I get it.
come 6 feet, and then back to that line. That's my understanding that we're gonna approve?
I want you to make the motion.
I know, I'm just trying to word it right.
I
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm wording it correctly. And I, like I said, I understand where you're coming from, and as long as you approve that, I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you.
I don't either.
That was thoughtful and practical and pragmatic.
That's what you're judges.
So all I'm gonna do is, I'll make a motion to approve the 20-foot variance from Gardens Way and to the findings of the fact,
For it to be a 6-foot privacy?
to be a 6-foot privacy based on the new drawings. But the building department's they'll catch that. I know they will. So, and then we'll know it.
You need to be as...
Actually, you understand it, correct?
I understand it, and I've made myself a very rough diagram.
Good deal.
All right.
But it's not for the diagram though.
Right.
You said for a diagram, but it has to be from the corner of the house.
From the corner of this, from the corner of the house.
Right.
6 feet, and then
Okay.
back to the,
From the
back property
southeast
line.
corner of the house.
That would be the southeast, yeah, if we're fit, yes.
Okay.
The southeast corner.
Out 6 feet and then down, out 6 feet to meet the 20 feet requirement, 6-foot privacy.
That's correct.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion has been made.
Yeah, I need the facts in it, right?
I did state that.
To approve the variance request of a 6-foot privacy fence 20 feet from the property line along Garden Way, on a corner lot served by sidewalks, including the findings of fact.
And
not to exceed over that corner of the house.
Well,
from the southeast corner of the
that's
house.
covered from the 20-foot statement from the property line,
But the
correct?
fence can't go past this corner.
Yeah, you're not gonna put a 6-foot going up the side of the house. I ain't worried about that. You guys aren't gonna do that.
Okay.
But you'll be able to put your 2
Okay, then originating from southeast corner of house.
Sounds good.
Okay, that was made by Eric. And who seconded?
That would be me.
Mr. Parker? Any other questions or clarification?
I'm good.
Everybody good?
Yeah, I think so.
Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Pecora?
Yes.
Mr. Bundy?
No. Motion passes 4-1. Okay?
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for that. Public comment? Anybody online yet? Did we ever have anybody online tonight? So we're not broadcast over the airwaves tonight?
We were, nobody joined us online. just to give you an update, Mr. Burink has been in front of the Stormwater Board twice now. He was just there 2 nights ago. That's why the deferral is till May for that item.
Okay.
So it should appear on your next agenda.
Okay.
Just sign the papers.
Yep. Being no other business coming for us, I declare this meeting adjourned.